right, well, welcome to month 2 of social distancing. I'm up here in Canada, in Ontario, and we're lucky enough that we're still able to move around fairly easily. Social distancing rules have been respected fairly well, and it looks like our curve is flattening. People are following all the guidelines, which is awesome to see, but to keep you guys occupied and at home, hopefully a little bit longer, I figured I'd do a series of videos talking about my filmmaking gear that I take on depending on the project over the next couple of weeks. So today I want to take you through my backcountry setup, or what I like to call my backcountry setup if I'm heading up to Algonquin, or if I'm heading to shoot another Locals episode, which is a documentary series that I'm working on. I'll throw a description up above somewhere up there. Definitely check them out, but I'm going to continue the series once this pandemic is kind of gotten under control. So the bag that I take with me, which is the one that I'm wearing right now, is the LOWEPRO WHISTLER 450 AW II. And this bag fits almost everything that I needed to. It almost fits the bill perfectly, but it is a camera bag that's made for mirrorless and DSLR setups. So if you're a photographer or a content creator that only uses something small like a Canon EOS R or an A7 III like I'm shooting on right now, great bag for you. You're gonna be able to fit absolutely everything you need in it. Unfortunately, I shoot mainly with a Sony FS7ii II. That's not unfortunate, but it doesn't fit amazingly in this bag, but I'll show you how I made it work. This bag was recommended to me by Brian Hunt, who's a filmmaker up in Collingwood. He does all of the Blue Mountain Resort content and a lot of stuff for Collingwood and tons of other great clients that are out there. Also a mountain biker, so that's awesome. But this bag, let me just kind of model it for you. Basically, it's made for the outdoor filmmaker or photographer. Basically, it has loops and straps. It's got ripstop nylon, so it's very durable. It's water resistant, and you can mount tons of stuff on it. They advertise it with skis on the side. Snowboards will fit on the back. I use it mainly to carry light stands and tripods. I have a light stand on it right now. So looking at the straps right up at the front, at first you'll see that they're fairly wide, which is nice. There's less digging into your shoulders, so ergonomically, it feels pretty good. And I think this bag, I haven't weighed it yet, but it's probably around 40 pounds on my back right now. But it doesn't feel too uncomfortable, but you really wanna make sure you distribute the weight really well. The one thing that not a lot of people talk about on this bag is it actually has a whistle up front. So if you're out in the backcountry and you're stuck somewhere, I'm just gonna give you a little tester here. It's got a whistle. You can get a rescue if you need to. It also has a waist cincher right here. So when I actually do this up, you can see it's got a pocket right on the side here. Generally what I'll do is I'll actually just grab some extra batteries, whether they're GoPro batteries or A7 III batteries here, toss them in. You've got a spare battery ready to go if you need it. So that's pretty sweet to have a little extra carrying spot right there. The other nice thing is that they actually give you loops right here, so you can actually mount carabiners or anything like that if you want to carry a water bottle up front. What I normally do is I'll use one of the back compartments to actually have a bladder in the bag. So if I'm out on a longer hike, I can actually fit that in there. I've got this set up so it's not like a full backcountry hike that I'd be going on. It'd be something where I just wanted everything accessible on my back, so I have more gear in there than I have food and other supplies, but you can set it up for that as well. I've got a carabiner right here actually. This one's just more of a gimmicky one, but it does carry some lighter loads. It also has a bottle opener on it. Super important if you're doing a long day of filming, you want a beer at the end of the day. It's always key. But popping into the bag here, you can see some of those loops and straps right here that you can carry everything with. On this side, I actually have a lens pouch. This is just a LOWEPRO lens pouch. It'll fit up to a 24 to 105, but it'll fit most of your primes and things like that in there as well. Just some extra storage space, which is always nice. And this can actually come off and it will mount onto your belt loop or anything like that as well. On the other side, I've got a light stand, and that is just mounted again onto the ski straps on the side of the bag, and it's got lots of other mounting points as well. Front of the bag here though, you can actually see, I didn't really do these up, but these are the straps that you could fit a snowboard or another tripod. So I've got a tripod right here on the side. This is just a little guy, it's a cheap one from Henry's, but it does the trick. And you can actually toss that right on the front there and it'll mount up nicely. But if we open up the front of the bag, this is the laptop or water bottle compartment. Right now, I actually have the FS7 handle. It's a very awkward camera to fit in this bag. It's not really made to fit in a bag this size, but I've made it work. And so the handle would fit there. You can also fit a rain jacket, clothing, just some extra layers if you need it, or a laptop. This will fit up to a 15-inch laptop. I recommend keeping your laptop in a small case as well, just so it doesn't get banged up in there. And it has a mesh pocket up here as well, where I would normally, if I'm carrying my laptop, put the charger and cable right there. Right now, I just have a power bank and a micro USB cable right there. So that's the front of the bag, fairly simple. If you go to the next compartment right here, it's not really a compartment, it's just an expander port. Basically to give you a little more room inside the front of the bag, which is always nice. All right, now if we go down to the top part of the bag here, get that out of the way. If we go to the top part of the bag, it's just a space that you can stuff more equipment. So right now I've got my FS7 batteries, I've got some earbuds, and I've got my receiver and transmitter AVX set. So this is if you're interviewing anyone, you can get really nice, clean audio that's wireless, which is always nice. This kit's pretty handy, but if you're in any downtown city setting, you can run into some issues because the signal is just not strong enough and you're not able to change the signal. It just has like a wireless kind of frequency that isn't the best downtown sometimes. When I shoot the Leafs, I always have issues at Maple Leaf Square running into interference, and my producers cringe every time. Bree, I am so sorry. But that's pretty sweet right there to have that. It's got a mesh pocket up top where I keep the receiver, an extra battery, and some other little things. If I'm bringing my A7iii with me, I'll keep the XLR to 3/4 jack right up here, and that keeps it out of the way. I also have a Lytra torch light. It's just nice to have a little extra light if you need to. It's got 3 settings. There you go, you can see it. And that is your strobe function. I've never used this yet, but it's there if you need it. It's got diffusion, and the nice thing is that it actually fits in a GoPro Hero 5 Session cage. It's unfortunately stopped making the Session, but a lot of that stuff is still available, and so you can actually mount these to GoPro parts as well, which is sweet. Moving on, I've got the Sony FS7ii charging port right here, docking station with D-tap power, extra batteries, and I also have another micro USB dual charger there for the light. Actually will charge with that, as well as my microphone kit. Now if we move into the main compartment here, the first thing you'll see is it's got active zoning right here, which is essentially, it's just padding that tries to keep some channel airflow going through your back. But once this is weighed down, it's really not gonna make much of a difference for you, because you're gonna be, if you're like me, I sweat like crazy. Family jokes that I look at the sun and I start sweating and melting. But with that extra weight, it's not gonna do a whole lot, but it is some extra padding on your back. So if you're, again, hiking for longer distances, it's definitely nice to have. Going into the main compartment though, not kidding when I say this thing's heavy. You've got 2 zippers, super durable tags here to get it undone. I do find that this webbing right here, it sometimes gets caught, so you have to watch that when you're unzipping it. I've gotten it caught so many times that it's starting to see a little bit of wear, but I've had this bag for 2 years and it looks like it's brand new still. Opening up the front of the bag here, let me try and angle that for you. It's got 3 SD card slots here. I never use them. I just find it's a little too flimsy and I don't think it's super safe. So if you're in the wintertime, SD cards can fly out of them too easily, I find, but it's got another zipper pocket right below there. They don't give you a lot of space here because it's flush up against your back, so you don't want lumps sticking out at your back, which is always nice. I wish I could fit more here sometimes, but then I always realize that with it being pressed up against your back, you probably don't want those lumps sticking at you. My only complaint about this compartment is that it's not mesh, so you can't see what's in there. I always like to see really quick glance, know what's in there, because sometimes I'll keep a microfiber cloth in there, some cleaning supplies for lenses, and you can forget. There's so many compartments, you forget what you put where when you're shooting quickly. So mesh pocket would be nice when they do an update on this bag. Going into the internal camera unit, I think that's f-stop's terminology, but I'm stealing it. It does have another ripstop nylon basically protective case here. So if you open that up, it's gonna just prevent the elements from getting inside the bag, which is always nice. And the ICU is actually removable. So just like f-stop bags, if you happen to have an airline that says this bag's too big, you take that out, use this as your carry-on, and then check the shell of the bag. You open that up and you've got your main divider compartment. This is what every camera bag looks like, so it's nothing new here really. LOWEPRO just gives you tons of dividers, and I've taken out most to fit this FS7 because it's such an awkward camera to fit. So when you open up the front, you'll actually see the FS7 below here with the main cavity that I've kind of built up. And because the top handle does not actually come off, it's really, really tough to fit this camera in there and pack everything else that you need. So essentially I've got the FS7 down below. I've got the shock mount kind of just thrown in there loose because everything's packed so tight that it's not going to move around much. Shock mount for the shotgun mic. Then after that, I've got buried in here the 1.5 foot XLR cable for the shotgun microphone as well. Right up above that, I have the shotgun mic with Dead Cat. This microphone I've had for 12 years. Audio equipment lasts you forever. As long as you take care of it, it will last forever. So honestly, I recommend you become a sound person because the return on investment is so much higher than camera gear. That is just from someone who has been doing this for a while and just keeps reinvesting, and I feel like it's a black hole because you get obsessed with all the new gear. Audio gear, it's expensive, lasts you forever. I've got the Canon 70-200 up above there. I shoot mainly on Canon lenses with a Metabone speed booster for two reasons. I was always a Canon shooter up until the last 6 months when I made the switch. And the Metabone speed booster actually, like it says, it boosts the speed of the lens. So if you have an f2.8 70-200, it actually turns into an f2. Don't understand how it works. I've looked up a ton of videos, but it does, and it's awesome. Up above, I've got the 24-105 lens. This is a lens that I actually never really used before I got this camera. I used it when I first got my 5D Mark III, and then once I started to get better lenses, it just kind of sat there and collected dust. But now with the speed booster, I get a longer zoom lens and still an f2.8. So I still have that shallow depth of field that I always want, but with more reach, which is always super nice. So between that and my 70-200, I've got almost all of the zoom range covered that I need to for the most part, especially shooting sports. When I do stuff with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Bauer hockey and a lot of the mountain bike content, you really want those ISO shots or the isolating shots of players or athletes where it's those hero shots, especially with slow motion, just looks so good. So 70-200, super nice right there. And then if I really want to get artsy, I've got my 35 f1.4 Sigma lens, and that one's a super sharp lens that I love throwing on this every now and then. Just it gives you that super shallow depth of field and very cinematic looking. Up top, I have got the rod support for the viewfinder and the viewfinder itself for the FS7, and that's essentially the cinema kit that I would fit in this bag. If I really needed to bring more stuff out with me, I'd probably bring someone else to help shoot if I needed any drone shots. I've got my drone in another bag, but someone else would need to carry it. So this is the LOWEPRO Whistler 450 AW II. Great bag, not quite made for the FS7 or a cinema rig. Even my C100 was very awkward to fit in here, but there's always a way to make it work. This guy's doing the trick. I've taken it out to British Columbia. I've taken it to Prince Edward Island, done a few hikes, and it's done a great job there. So no real complaints from the bag, but if you have any questions about this bag or anything else, feel free to leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more content for sure. I will do my best to answer any questions you might have. If not, I'll see you on the next one. Should probably shave that, but I'm probably not going to. It's quarantine life. Who really cares? One thing I always forget to mention when I do this review, because I've shot it like 15 times now and I keep messing it up, is the rain cover. The camera actually comes with a rain cover. I'm just not a huge fan of how it packs up like this instead of fitting in the bottom of the bag. I've had previous bags that actually had a compartment at the very bottom of the bag and then it would just pull out, but it would always be attached. This is something that generally I'm not gonna need it, but if I do, chances are I'm gonna forget it and it's not gonna be of any use to me there, so there's that. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got.